Hello my fellow pod pilots of New Eden, EddieRio here in a Rupture. So let's quickly look at the fit before we get started. I've got 220 autocannons, a medium nuke, afterburner, scram, double web, 1600 plate, ancillary armor repairer, gyro stabilizer, damage control, and a multi-spec energized membrane. A couple of rigs for damage and an ancillary current router to make it all fit. I'm only doing about 360 DPS, but I've got lots of webs, I've got a newt, and I've got a nice tank. So again, I kind of want those small frig gangs to come and attack me in this. But first of all, we have a Catalyst Navy issue that decides to come and have a go at me while I'm happily plexing a site. Again, this is what I do to fund solo PvP in faction warfare. I'll fit out a ship and I'll go to some sites and plex them, get the loyalty points to make some ISK. If the fight comes to me, great, I can take that fight and hopefully come out on top, but if not, I can plex a few sites and then go off and look for something. You know, I haven't got loads of accounts, I don't multi-box, this is true solo PvP I guess. And here I am starting to balls this fight up a little bit. I don't know why I've kept my overheat on my point and my webs for so long, and just as he starts to slip into hull and I've got good range on him, I decide to approach him and go closer, which I start to lose my DPS on him and I start missing. I burn out a couple of my webs. What am I doing? But eventually I think my drones do enough damage to get the kill. Loving flying about in a Rupture though. Used to fly a Rupture a lot back in the day, so it's nice to get back in it and do some damage in it and have a bit of fun with it. But down goes the Catalyst Navy issue, and I must remember not to burn out my modules on my next fight. I think I could also do with training I think it's the thermodynamic skill, so that I can overheat my modules a bit longer. This next fight was a little bit odd. I had two stealth bombers on scan and I thought that there was no way that they were going to warp into the plex that I'm at, because obviously they'd be warping in at 0 to me and I'd be able to lock them up. But for some reason they both decided to jump in, and as you can see I pretty much insta-blap the first one, and the second one makes range, and that's it. I don't think I'm going to be able to get him after this point. But he hasn't got a point on me, so I don't see a need to warp out of here just for a while, and I can sort of try and slingshot a little bit. But yeah, people do some weird things in this game. I mean, I do some weird things and make a lot of mistakes, but to warp two stealth bombers in at 0 onto someone seems like a strange thing to do. I suppose they were going to try and pull range as soon as they got in, but unfortunately I managed to lock one of them up. So this one, he must be in comms with his friend who's just died. He's moved away, made range, and all of a sudden he decides to turn around and just bomb it straight for me. I think this is some sort of suicide mission. He wants to come and kill himself so that perhaps he can go back to his mate, they can get another ship and they can try something else. But yeah, it's strange behaviour. You never know quite what the person is thinking sat on their computer playing this strange game about internet spaceships. So yeah, 2 stealth bomber kills. I'll take that. Thank you. Good fight. Next up we have a Vexor. Again, talking about strange behaviour. I'm not sure whether this Vexor pilot was a bot or not, but I'm going to take it as a fight anyway. I chased him around the system a little bit. He was already in this site and I decided to hang around in the site to finish plexing it when he warped off, but then he decided to warp back again. If you notice, he warped back into the site and he hasn't yellow boxed me or red boxed me at all. He's only just started doing that now, although he has put a point on me. But something just felt a little odd about this. If you're about to jump into a site and you know that there's a ship there, you're going to get ready to lock that up as soon as you come out of warp and get a point on him and start applying DPS. You're not going to hang around and wait for him to start aggressing you and think, oh yeah, I'll lock him up and start shooting back. So I know Vexors can do a lot of damage from their drones, so I decide to use one of my webs for a drone and apply my drones to his drones to start taking them out to mitigate a little bit of DPS. Although in the grand scheme of things I don't think that that was really needed, and I could have tanked it fine. On a side note, I've completed 2 of my Air Career Programme sections. I think it's the Enforcer and the Soldier of Fortune sections that I've done, so I think I've got the Industrialist and Explorer ones to go. So I might even leave Faction Warfare for a little bit to complete those and practice having a go at using some filaments and the Pochfin way back to high sec to do some 0-0 fighting, perhaps in some nano bullshittery type ships. I've been skilling into a kind of dual prop, dual rep stabber fleet issue, which I kind of want to take out into 0-0 for a bit of fun. Got to also add that the Pochfin Triglavian space thing, that's all completely new to me, but I like the idea that I can use those sort of filament jump things to get myself out of 0-0 and back into K-space, which is really useful, so I'm looking forward to giving that a try. So Vexor down, yes it was a little odd, but Vexor down, I will take it. Good fight, look at that explosion. Next up we've got a Catalyst Navy issue again that decides to come in and say hello to me. This time I'm waiting on the gate to the entrance to the site, and I think he walked in at 50 and then starts approaching me. So my hope at this point is that he just keeps coming and I'll approach him and hopefully I can get him in a scram. On another side note, CCP were obviously making 2 other games at the moment. EvE Frontier I'm not really very interested in, but being a big Dust 514 player back in the day, I'm quite looking forward to Vanguard, and I think they've got a test early next month, and then in the spring they're looking at having like an open alpha, so I'm looking forward to that. I really like the idea of a first person shooter set within the EvE world. I just want to fire Minmatar guns, first person shooter style, and I've tried to persuade my friends to come back and play a bit of EvE online, but that's failed, and hopefully I might be able to get them to play a little bit of Vanguard, which would be quite cool. So this Catalyst Navy issue just burned towards me practically to 0, and then I started applying DPS to it and it turned tails and started trying to nope out, but too little too late, and I managed to take it out. Next up is a 1 versus 4, that's right, 4 people trying to take me down in frigates and destroyers, which is exactly what I want flying this ship. These are the sort of ships that I want to come and attack me. This is what I'm built to try and go for, so this is a really cool little fight here. So we have a Catalyst, a Kestrel, a Thrasher and a Coercer Navy issue gunning towards me at the moment. So the Kestrel is in the lead and gunning towards me. I think he will be micro warp drive fit, so I need to try and get webs and scrams on him. I should have had my webs and scrams pre-overheated here, because I just miss out on managing to get him. As you can see, he comes within about 12 kilometers and then starts making range and gets a nice orbit on me. So I'm waiting for the next ship to start coming a little bit closer while still applying a bit of DPS to this one. So they're not applying too much DPS at the moment. I think they're going for my drones first, which is probably a good decision, but the Catalyst comes well within range, so I swap to him and put scram and webs on him and start applying DPS. And I've had to put my reps on to start tanking a bit of this damage coming in now. This is what it's all about though. This is great fun. Look at this, I've got 4 people in a little gang trying to take me out, and I'm just about holding my own here. I managed to get him down into hull, but he makes range and gets out of scram range and then warps off, which is a shame. So I put DPS onto the Thrasher and start plinking away at him. Although he's out of my scram range, I can perhaps scare him off the field and keep my eyes on the range of the other ships and be ready to point them if they come within range. And I'm taking this Thrasher out quite well here, and then for some reason he decides to then start travelling towards me, and I managed to get the scram and webs on him. But yeah, I thought he was going to warp off then, but then he decides to come right in, which is great, and I'm tanking this DPS fine. I've run out of paste for my repper, but that doesn't matter, I'm still getting a few reps off, which is okay, and the damage is more than tankable. So I'm going to take this Thrasher out, and then I'm going to think about which one I'm going to switch to afterwards as well. So we've gone from 1v4 down to 1v2. I think the Catalyst has come back on the field, but he's well over 100 kilometers away, so he's not going to cause me much issue at the moment. I start plinking away at the Coercer Navy issue that was in Scram and Web range, but has somehow managed to move out of it, so that was a bit of a fail on my half there. I think if these guys dropped in on me at their optimals and they all got in range and overheated DPS, I think that they would have taken me out by now. But I think the fact that they were perhaps a little bit nervous and drifting around me, keeping at range, coming back in, going back out, that definitely played to my side. So I just missed out on the Coercer Navy issue, but the Kestrel comes right in range and I managed to get webs and scram on him and start taking him out. So normally when I go up against 4 more characters, I've just jumped into a gate camp and I instantly die, but this time I managed to stay on the field alive at the end of it and make a couple of kills as well, so really enjoyed that. Good fight. I repped up, flew around a little bit more and jumped into the same gang, this time with a slightly different composition, and they managed to get the better of me. But I do manage to get one of them before I pop, so that's always good. So thanks for watching this and listening to me waffle on. If you've made it this far, please subscribe and like the video, and I will catch you in the next one. Fly safe.